In this video I look at a Marantz 1810 stereo cassette deck. Applying power. I see that the VU meters move slightly. And it looks like the light, one of the light bulbs is burned out, but the other one's okay. Just open the cassette compartment up. Remove the cassette door. I want to see whether the capstan and pinch roller or anything moves when I apply power or hit play. Okay, right now you can see we do have a problem here. We have full deflection of 1 meter. Now what's gonna cause that? That's going to be, and I don't have any movement of anything here on the tape transport. So we have a couple different problems here. We could have a bad motor, but certainly that's an indication that the record play switches are dirty. Let's pop the top off of this unit and take a look and see how bad it is in here. I don't feel anything trying to turn the capstan shaft, so it could be a belt that's broken. It also could be the motor. You guys see the problem right now? Somebody's replaced the belts with rubber bands. Oh man. That's why it's not working. The motor's trying to pull, but the rubber band that they put in there to replace the belt is all broken. So I need a belt set for this thing, which I doubt whether I have any. I'll just take it apart and see. But yeah, good way to try and fix your tape deck. There's a big rubber band around the flywheel here. You can see it all falling out here. This would have been the guy that owned it, I'm sure. Yeah, that's gonna... Don't use rubber bands in place of belts. The rubber band is not gonna last, and it hasn't lasted. So we've got 2 rubber bands here that have been put on in place of belts. This one here is all stuck to the pulley. It's been sitting there so long it's actually welded itself to the pulley. Come on, let it go. Okay, there's that one. Gotta get the remnants of this out. I'm just gonna take the motor assembly out. To do that, there's a couple screws here that hold this bracket in place, and then the motor will come out for servicing. I guess that might help if I use the right size of screwdriver. Okay, motor swings out of the way. As you can see, this is what happens when you put elastic bands in place of real belts. They get gummed up and fall apart and break. The funny thing is, the guy that owns this thing will probably say, put another rubber band in. I'll tell him, I'll phone him up and say, hey, I found the problem with your tape deck. They put a rubber band in there and it broke. And his reply will probably be, put another one in. But we don't do that. Okay, the motor is spinning, as you can see. So, the other problem with this unit is the record play switches here are dirty. So let's clean the record play switches with Nutrol. I'm gonna have to get another can of this stuff because I'm getting rather low on it. So I sprayed on the switches, and I'm just going to operate the switch to clean any crud out of it and oxidization off the switches. The reason why only 1 meter was going funny was because you have a separate switch for each channel. What this switch does is it's a 2-head deck, so the record play functions are both done by the same head. And what this does is when the switch is normally in its normal position, the two coils on the head are connected to the playback amplifiers. And when you press the record button, it pushes that switch down, which disconnects the head from the playback amplifiers and connects it to the record bias oscillator and record circuitry, which is down here. So that's what that does. It just switches your head from playback to record. I'm going to look at my collection of belts and see if I have anything that's even remotely close to this, but I have a feeling I'm going to have to order these ones in because I'm not going to have a belt for this. So one of the questions that people have asked me before is, how do you know what size of belt to put on if your original belt is broken? And that solution is something that is known to dentists. Dentifloss. Yes, so we're going to thread some dentifloss around the pulley. That way I can tie it. It's nice and tight. We can cut it and then measure it. That'll give us the size of our two belts. So I'm just going to thread this dental floss around the pulley, put the motor back in place so that I can put everything in just like it would be if I was putting in a new belt. That way we can get an accurate measurement on what size of belt I need to get for this unit. So I'm just going to stick a piece of dental floss down with some tape here to my flywheel, and then I can spin it around, and that will thread it around underneath there so that I can get it up onto the other side very quickly. And there is my dental floss that I need to thread around my motor. So I'm just going to tie it out of the way here momentarily as I put the motor back in place. And then I can tie it around the pulley and repeat for the other smaller belt. So I get the pulley in place, and I only have to tack this in with like one screw, right? I don't need to put this all the way in. Just put one screw around here, one screw into this thing, while holding my dental floss tight so it doesn't drop off the pulley. Now I could put a piece of tape on this too, that would also make my life easier, but I like complicated things, right? So I'll put the motor in place. Now as you can see, I've got my dental floss here threaded around the flywheel and around the pulley. So now if I cut that dental floss, the length of that dental floss that's going around the pulley will be the length of my belt. That'll be the circumference of the belt. So let's cut it, and then we have our first piece. I'll do the same thing for the other pulley here, for the reel drive pulley. So if I lay out that dental floss, you'll see that the length of it is just over 9.5 inches. I would order probably an FB, that'll be a flat belt, so an FBS 9.0 is probably the size of belt that it's going to need. Let's just see what size of belt I have here. I have a flat belt here, but I don't know whether it's going to be the right size or not. But so I've got a belt. So this other belt that I've got here, if we measure this one here, we'll see that if I lay this one out flat, this one here comes up at 6 inches, which is just under 12. So it's a little bit on the large side. This one here, if we measure it out right to the end here, is coming up at 9.5 inches. So this needs what's called an FBS 9.5. So I'm going to write that down so that I know what size of belt to get. FBS 9.5. Now the reason we say it's FBS is it's a flat belt and the size is small. That's what the S means. An FBM would be flat belt medium, and an SBL or an FBL would be flat belt large. The other belt is a square belt, so it will be an SBS, whatever size I measure for the other one. So let's measure the other belt and see how big it is. So exactly the same way as I did the other one, I threaded this belt around this pulley here. As you can see, if I turn it, it turns the motor. So this one is now tight, and we're going to cut this one and measure the length of this one as well, and that'll give me the two belts that I need to order to fix this unit up. So again, we'll just cut the belt, or cut the dental floss. and remove it. Now that's the length of the other belt. And once again, we'll lay it out here and measure it. And this one here is about 5.5 inches. So I would order this with an SBS, probably because the belts, well, you want them a little bit tighter than that. So I'd say like 5.25 probably for this one here. That would be an SBS 5 1/4. So that's an SB. S stands for square belt, small, and we're measuring this one here with the dental floss. It's measuring 5.5, so I'm going to say about 5.2. That's the size of belt I'm going to get for this one. So I'm going to go down to the parts store, and hopefully the parts store that's open tomorrow, because there's 2 of them in town. One of them's not open on Mondays. The other one is. I'm going to go down to the parts store that's open, and hopefully he's got an FBS 9.5 and an SBS 5.2, and then I can get this unit up and running. So I've now got a couple belts here. I'm going to go and proceed to install these. And we'll see if this one here will work. So to change the belts, I'm going to have to actually remove the plate here from the flywheel so I can get the belt around it. So let's get in here with the screwdriver. And remove the bracket. And one of them is a longer screw. The top one is a longer screw. And now the bearing plate will pop off. It's probably not a bad idea to lubricate this while it's apart, because now I can pull the capstan shaft back and take it and remove it completely, the flywheel, and I can lubricate the bearings here, because this, if the bearing gets dry, this is where you're going to have a problem. It's going to seize up. So while I've got it apart, I'm just going to get my good old 3-in-1 electric motor oil, and we'll just put a drop of oil onto the bearing here, and another bit onto the back here, onto the back bearing, another drop. Then I can put the bearing back together. Okay, bearings back in place. The capstan shaft is reinserted. Now time to thread the belts on. So I've got the belt around the flywheel and the motor. Now we put the back half of the flywheel back on, the bearing, and re-secure it with the screws. And we'll do the same thing for the small belt for the reel drive. Get the small belt out and just loop it in. Oops, I did that wrong. Small belt's actually got to go on first. I got to remove the other one to do it. Should have put that on in the first place. I don't have to remove it right from the capstan shaft, but I do have to disconnect it here, so I can get the other belt in place first, because it has to go further back on the motor and I wasn't paying attention. So be sure you put your reel belt around first, because it goes onto the groove further down on the pulley. And then I can grab the other belt again from below using my dental pick and just pull the belt into place. Just like that. And now both of them turn. Let's test it out. So now if I press the fast forward button, you'll see that the spool is turning, the spindle. Same with the rewind, that's turning. And I go to play, and it brings the head up, and I don't have the motorboating sound anymore because I cleaned the record play switch. Let's try tape and see how it sounds. Before I do that, I'm going to clean the heads on this unit. Clean the heads and the pinch roller and the capstan shaft. Yeah, a fair bit of dirt on this. First we'll put the cassette door back on. Okay. I'll just try this and see if it works. There we go. The unit is playing. And it's ready to go back to its owner. Okay, it's working. We'll check fast forward out here. As you can see, fast forward's working, rewind's working. The guy that owns this thing doesn't want to spend any money on it at all, so I'm going to leave it as it is with just the belts replaced. I'm not even going to bother to replace the light bulb on it because the guy that owns this thing really doesn't want to spend any money on it. So I'm going to leave it at that. Hope you guys enjoyed the belt replacement on this Marantz 1810 cassette deck. I'm going to put it back together now and get it back to its owner. Gotta figure out which way the top goes on this thing. It's got a nice real wood cabinet. Don't make them like that anymore. I think I'm on backwards actually. I think it goes on this way. It only goes on one way. If you put it on wrong, it won't line up. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.